We're here in Microsoft Redmond on their headquarters in the DevRel studios that we all know from the Channel 9 videos and so forth. And I'm here with Mahmoud, Femke and Eric talking about Experts Live. Mahmoud, can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. I am Mahmoud Atallah. I'm the organizer of Experts Live Emirates.
Wonderful.
I'm Femke Cornelissen. I am the organizer of Expert Live Netherlands and as well New York.
Awesome. I'm Eric. I'm one of the organizers of Expert Live Germany.
Wonderful. Well, Experts Live has been around for a long while. For those who don't know it, we've been around since 2009, starting as a small community. But as you can hear with Mahmoud, Femke and Eric on the couch, we've expanded a lot. Mahmoud, what brought you to Experts Live?
I'd say it was kind of luck at the beginning. We just got to know each other in the MVP Summit. However, it totally flipped out to a totally different experience. I can see that the Experts Live community, yeah, it's starting from 2009, I think, but we are in 2026. It's totally different level, different experience, and I'd say being part of such community, it's giving me an opportunity that I didn't thought about.
Before we go further, can you introduce yourself as well?
Yeah,
of course.
that's
I'm
my
Martin.
one.
I get to be the founder of Experts Live and well, started it in 2009 with a really good group of people, just bringing together the community professionals, about 60 people for the first edition, almost like a meetup style. And then over the years, people, word of mouth, said, well, I'll bring somebody to the next edition. And I think we see that a lot with all of the other editions where we grew and grew and grew. In Holland this year, 2026, we're expecting more than 2,500 people. And
Wow.
it's really where we say it's where the community meets. So it's where we get the sessions, but also the fact that people can work with each other. And I think about 10 years ago, somebody said, well, this Experts Live thing feels really good. Are you coming into my country? And we said, well, we're not coming into other countries. But we did find that with our community friends like yourself, that there was a lot of interest. And it's great that the editions are now over the world.
I think we need to say congrats on everything that you did and the team, because it's growing like every year, bigger in the Netherlands, but as well like in a different kind of countries. So congrats on that.
Well, the biggest congratulations, I think, are to all the organizers and more importantly, all the volunteers behind the scenes that make all this work. There's so many time going into the editions and it almost feels like chapters. Their regions can do their own thing, but the volunteers make the clock tick. And Eric, you've been with us for a while as well.
Yeah, that's true. And first of all, I can second what you just said. You start small, and then people are bringing friends and bringing family, and it's growing and growing and growing. So my journey with Experts Live started in the Netherlands when you got me in there as a speaker, and I really liked the feeling because it's not one of those commercially driven conferences where you have a hard schedule and a contract and everybody's running around, and it's like you have so many conversations. And when I came back to the Netherlands, there were attendees that were like, hey, Eric, you are back. And it feels a bit like family, which I really liked. And that brought me to the point that I said, like, I want to have that in Germany too. And we pretty much had the same. So we started with, I think, 80 people in a small hotel. And this year we've been over 400 people because word of mouth was like, hey, I bring a friend, I ask my colleague. And so we got even more people,
Yeah, wonderful. Well, this year we're actually up in 11 countries. Femke, you got to be on Times Square.
Yeah, that was amazing. It was like a dream that comes true, really. Yeah, it was fun, and it's nice to go like the other side of the world and organizing that. It's not easy to do that as well, but it's fun that you can create something right there and have a lot of people joining us. Like on Times Square, I think everyone was really excited to fly in as well because it's absolutely amazing.
Who doesn't want to be on Times Square?
Of course,
and,
of course.
I remember the location, like from the windows you would see the Big Apple and all of the touristy things, but it was like such a wonderful location.
Yeah.
And I think that around the world we have so many locations, like wonderful locations. And Mahmoud, you've been running it in Dubai, you said, last November. Where had you been? Like, what venue? How did you?
Yeah, so that was like a long story. We literally started by just looking into the community locations at the beginning, just to see if we can get a venue that will be supporting the community itself. But we figured out that such a scale that we are looking for, it has to be in a business venue or a venue that can serve such a type of people that will attend the event itself. And yeah, that was kind of like lots of research, lots of volunteering. There was people that, keep in mind that I'm not really originally from Dubai. I'm staying in Abu Dhabi, so it's a bit far away from me to go there and here. So I was getting lots of volunteering to visit different venues, having videos, sharing with me the insights, giving me the 3D Max, looking into the dimension and those kind of things. And we landed at the end with one of the great venue on the Internet City that was literally fitting to the community type. So it does have breakout rooms, it does have the actual theater style. It was a great option, and I think it was a very successful version.
And I think that's one of the important things. So people normally see the event itself. They see this one day or the 2 days and appreciate what's happening there. But what they don't see is what happens all in the background. All the venues you've visited till you found the final venue. The calls you had with catering, the calls you had with marketing teams, the calls you had with speakers, sponsors, and so on and so on. So, and I can imagine for an event like Express Live Netherlands with 2,500 people, dozens of sponsors, how many sessions in parallel? That's a massive thing to organize, or?
The funny thing is always when we're starting to organize, and we have a lot of people who are doing that, it's always funny that the event is over and like the week after it already starts to like organizing.
You're starting a new version. That's a pretty challenging part. And to be honest, back to the point of preparation and getting ready, when I started that, again, I got introduced to the people and the summit itself, and I started reaching out to Eric for the support. I started reaching out for you, Martin, and even for Denmark version, I reached out to Martin, and then he told me that, man, keep in mind that you need to give yourself at least 6 hours weekly, just to maintain the organizing and maintaining the communication, those kind of things. And they figured out that literally it's not weekly, it's daily. It's almost 6 hours daily. I'm just maintaining my work at morning and just maintaining the community preparations at night. But again, we got lots of different tips and tricks from all the team members, which has made that version successful.
I think that's one of the most successful things, that it is a team. And even though we're spread out across the world and many far locations, there's so many people willing to support each other. And there's so much knowledge now and so many things we can share together, is that we grow together. And that certainly when you set the bar higher for next year, where it's like more people, maybe more rooms, maybe even more days, the challenge becomes higher. But then supporting each other from the global organizers and the volunteers, again, all kudos to all the volunteers, that's what really makes the dream work.
But I think it's also a really nice brand, so it helps when you have the name Expert Life, because people know him from other countries as well, so it helps to start. And a lot of things you can reuse, like things that we're already using in different kind of countries as well, so it's easier. It's a lot of work still, but it's maybe easier because it's like a brand.
The thing that strikes me is we've deliberately chosen to let the geographies decide themselves how to run it. So what you get is the brand, the feeling, the direction, the way we bring that feeling of community and family to an event. But if you see how you do it, Mahmoud, or Eric, or anywhere in the world, it could be substantially different from how many people, what venue, but even times, like are you running an early keynote or a late keynote?
That's funny.
Culture is a thing, right?
That's funny. I'll keep it for you. You highlight that.
Now maybe we can talk about it, because like I was at the event of Mahmoud, and one of the things that happened there was like we as Dutch people are really early and standing there for the keynote, and I was there like 1 hour before, and I was standing, I was like no one was there, and actually it's a thing there in your region that it's starting late, so you learn from that.
So one of the key lessons learned that we had to get out of Express Life Emirates, that starting very early, which was following the actual different version of Express Emirates, was not the right practice for our region, because people can go for work early, but for such type of events they're gonna go a bit late. And then we figured out that starting with the keynote and the key speaker on the stage and no one behind him, it was a bit challenging, but we just had to move all the agenda 1 hour later, where it satisfied the actual session requirement. I remember there was lots of challenges behind that as well, because one of the key challenges when we get to know that moving the sessions, meaning that people are coming on time for their assigned session. Let's say I will attend Eric's session, so I know that Eric has 12. So when I'm coming, I know my timing, I'm directly getting to Eric's room and Eric is not there because we moved the agenda as well. So this was another key lesson learned. Yeah.
And that was one of the things. I was also in Dubai, which was also one of the powers of community, that even though we had to change the agenda, it somehow worked in the end.
Yeah.
It did work.
There was a little bit of confusion because, like, as you mentioned, my session was right after the keynote, and because the keynote was moved, people were like, okay, is something in this room now or not? But in the end, it was all good, and that's the thing. So people are helping each other. Nobody's sitting there like, okay, that's an organized event, help me. So it's really, everybody helps. And everybody's running around. It's like, hey, here, this session is in this room. And I think that's a very important thing.
Yeah.
And the keynote was full as well after that hour.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it was,
We
it was
moved
not,
it,
yeah,
so we
because
were
moved-
able to accommodate
So
the
you make a
people.
good call, I think. Yeah.
We
Yeah.
moved it and we were able to do it.
One thing that and that was like the starting when I was in Amsterdam, and it wasn't Amsterdam, in the Netherlands, and I saw how Express Life Netherlands works. One of the things is really this community feeling. Everybody is grouped together, everybody likes each other, everybody is nice and open and welcoming. How did you achieve that?
Yeah, that's a good question actually, and I think, like you just highlighted, it starts with how we, with organizers and volunteers, run the event. So we're very approachable. Everybody's really willing to put in the work. Everybody's very committed to spend all that hours and be there. And those are often community people, MVPs, but also non-MVPs that help out, that understand like connecting to people, talking to people, working with people. But the second magic sauce ingredient, I would say, is to make sure that we're not just doing sessions only and saying, okay, well, you can come in, do a session and leave. Often the events do a lot of infrastructure around it where you can sit, where you can hang around, where you can meet your peers, where you can find somebody who you can talk to. And that opens up a world of possibilities to connect. And then you feel that connection between people. And I must say that's why we deliberately choose a certain venue. And I think the same is for you as well, is you want to make sure the venue really breathes that atmosphere and the fact that there are opportunities to meet. And that's why the tagline is where the community meets. It's of course about learning and sharing and learning and sharing, but certainly the third part, networking, is very important. And then of course, if you have that DNA and the volunteers know about it, then yeah, that will replicate going forward. But like yourself being a big community hero, and Femke, Mahmoud, and all of the organizers we're not highlighting now, but thank you again. Those are the people that, again, breathe that DNA.
The other thing is, I think, like Expert Life is always that we think, okay, can we go bigger? Can we grow? And we grow almost every year, I think. But the other thing is as well, I think it's in the DNA of the people of Expert Life thinking about, okay, what can we do better next year? So not only more people, but as well, okay, how can we make changes?
Yeah.
And I always need to think about like Morten from Denmark. He is like on the numbers. He's really on the numbers.
He's a machine.
So
He's a
everyone,
machine.
I think we all learning from
Yeah.
each other as well. Like you can do that, but you can do it different kind of ways, and you learn from each other how to do it better, and see like how we can change things in different kind of ways. Yeah.
And one thing that I still have to learn is how to open a conference. And I think nobody has done it the way how the Netherlands did it. So we opened our conference this year with a non-working projector, which was also some kind of a new thing. We tested it half an hour before the start and everything was working, and then we wanted to start and it was like not working. Right. So
what are you thinking about a movie? Opening with a movie?
And the thing is, I've seen in the Netherlands there is a thing about movies. So and I don't know the origin of that. So how did that start?
Well, that was just a fun thing. So I think you need to have fun while you're doing this. Again, it's not about just producing the content. So we had early on an idea to bring some fun, and I've always found that doing something on stage activates people. So it could be a performance, but we went the route of doing a movie, and also because back in the day with TechEd and some of the older Microsoft conference, you had sometimes where they mocked a movie like Back to the Future, whatever. And the first one we did is we created an A-Team replication. People from the 80s or 90s recognized that, rented the van, did all the props, and then we created about a 2-minute feature film. played it on the big screen, and the people loved it. They loved it because we were mocking ourselves, we were mocking that. And then the next year we had done the Back to the Future, we've done Mission Impossible, we've done so many franchises. And we spent months doing it. So a lot of money, time and energy making that films. They're on YouTube, by the way, if you want to find them, on the Express Live channel. But then we air them in these big venues with good sound and good screens, and people have a big laugh, and then the keynote starts. But every year we say, we'll not do it again because it's too much work, and then we do it again.
Yeah. And the fun thing is, I think 2 days like recording for like a 2 minutes like video and all the editing and all that kind of things, but it's amazing to do.
Yeah.
And when you have like before the keynote, people will recognize people in that movie and say, oh, this is from like the Dutch community, or this is people that we recognize. Yeah. So it's people were laughing. And then we have the bloopers as well. I know I had a tagline I never forget. It was, what a shit show. I know that's
yeah,
that
so
was
we don't spare ourselves. Yeah, we published the bloopers as well.
So one of the things I think that we all know is to organize an event in country with your community, maybe in another city, so you have a little bit of remoteness. But how does it work if you do it for New York and it's so far away and you cannot just drive there and have a conversation, so everything is remote? So how did you do that?
It was not easy. We had some people who lived there, and we had some people who made some pictures of the rooms and all that kind of thing. So I think the same as that you have. But a lot of people who helped and organize it and create it. But I think it's easier to do it in your own country. Yeah, I think that's much easier.
And then you also use like the local community to activate the community?
Yes, but it was the first edition, so it was not easy. I hoped that we can grow even bigger then, because I was thinking, oh, it's New York, so probably a lot of people want to join in. But the local people were not local, a lot of people. It was more like people were flying in, will come to New York and to be there. But we had amazing support from Microsoft as well, like on the keynote and sessions around it. So it was good. It was easy for them to fly in as well, easier because it was like.
And I think that's an important thing to mention. Yeah. Like Express Live is all around Microsoft technology, and in many cases Microsoft is supporting or helping, but Microsoft is not part of the organization. They are not the organizers. They are not giving us a lot of money.
That's a key challenge, by the way. Like we are introducing Microsoft, we are supporting Microsoft, and we're trying to do like. Keep in mind that we have the support for Microsoft because we've been part of the Microsoft MVP community itself. So it comes to that, and that's where literally when I started Saudi Arabia, the first sponsor was a Microsoft competitor. So I had to say no, sorry, because at the end our event it's all about Microsoft products. So I don't see that we can fit you in a way or another, and that's coming to the point of okay, Microsoft is going to support that or not. That's a different story.
But I think that's an important point to make sure that we're very focused.
We are very focused, yes.
People understand that if you're coming to Express Live, you get the connection, but you also get the knowledge around Microsoft tech. Often you also get the real experience. So you don't even have to be an MVP, but somebody who has worked with a certain product or technology, has a certain perspective, and is now a speaker on the event, can really give the raw, real picture of that technology. Sometimes good, sometimes bad, sometimes improvements, but how to apply it, how they've done it at scale at a certain company. And that's often what we see in the evals as well, is that the sessions are highly regarded because you get real perspectives, you get somebody who's done it. And there is diversity in the fact that you can go from some adoption session on Copilot to some nitty-gritty detail on Azure. Everything in between is there as well.
I think that changed as well in the last years, right? Like from more dev sessions to now as well, like adoption sessions.
The first edition in 2009 was System Center and Hyper-V only. That gives away my age. But nowadays we have the full spectrum. I think even development sessions, of course AI is now a big topic, but everybody is there and everybody can get something out of it. Certainly with the number of sessions, if you're just on Intune, you can get those, but if you're on Azure, you can get those and anything in between.
Yeah, back to that point. I was very optimistic when I did my version, and I thought that I would have a time to attend the sessions. So literally, as Mahmoud, I downloaded the app and I start subscribing and making a favorite for the session. Like, I will attend the Femke, I'll attend Berg and X and Y and Z. And then I figured out I don't have single minute to attend anything. Keep in mind that was I really would like to attend. I can see that this value that I will get out of this session, because yeah, we are inviting people from abroad. There are lots of different experiences. There are MVPs, non-MVPs, but at the end, the knowledge share that they're gonna get from the field directly to the session, it's like shrinking couple of years in 1 hour. Yeah. So that was like, for me even, I would like to get that out of the session. So I think this experience, people, they will not get to know the actual value unless they get in and see the actual session and value.
Yeah. You were an hour too late with all the sessions.
You were in the wrong time zone. Femke, I know we recorded a session about diversity at Experts Live and getting people from all sorts of backgrounds.
I think it's really important to showcase that kind of
why?
things. Yeah, because like we always seeing like in different kind of conferences that not only women and men, but as well like ages or like different kind of diversity. Yeah, we need to have more people who are diverse, and we try to do our best on Expert Live to showcase bringing role models visible. And we're working on it. Like it's something that it's also in our DNA, and try to do like ask people to join as a speaker. We try to be in an organized group to get more, for example, like women who help, and as well like from education part or different kind of ages, different kind of people who are joining us. So it's important, but yes, it's a men's world. I would say that, but it's changing. And one of the things that I like from, for example, like the Netherlands edition, is that we also supporting different kind of communities. So it's good to bring not only Expert Live, but bring the other communities that we have in that country, bringing that together. And I'm, for example, like the founder of Dutch Women in Tech as well. So there's lots of support there that they are coming together, creating a WhatsApp group, something like that. Because it's not always easy to go to a big conference when you know that you are like one of the probably 10 or 20 people who are women in a conference. And we see in the Netherlands for the last like years that it's changing and people are coming together and that the group is getting bigger, so we make some progress. Good. But there's still a lot of work to do.
And I want to share 2 lessons learned, because I think we can all improve, and every year I learn something about doing something wrong, so that's really a thing. One of the things that we started with back in 2019, when we first thought about doing Experts Live, it was like, oh, we will invite all the MVPs. And then like after the second edition, we were like, well, if we only have MVPs, how does a new person become an MVP if they never get the chance to speak? So we opened our minds and we're like, okay, let's bring someone in. And then 2 years ago, we had Laura from Germany. She was a first-time speaker. It was her first time on a stage. She was super nervous. She was like really flattering. And she delivered. She did the second best session of the conference. It was awesome. I wanted to have her back again. So awesome thing. So that was one of the big learnings, like sometimes give people a chance, and maybe if they don't want to be on the stage alone, give them a co-speaking opportunity or something like that. So that was one of our big learnings, open the stages. That's an easy thing. And the second thing is really learning from this year. We had a speaker with a disability that's in a wheelchair. And we watched out for the venue when we chose the venue. Is it accessible? Do we have a lift? We've thought about everything. But my biggest mistake this year was, for lunch, we had standing tables. And a person in a wheelchair cannot eat at a standing table. And to be honest, it's something I didn't even think about, but it's a lessons learned for next year. We will obviously have other options to take your lunch.
Just to copy that lesson learned, actually it was a bit challenging for me having the lunch, or I would say the catering itself, all over the day. That was a totally wrong decision, because when we planned for the event, we thought that, okay, people usually like to come for gathering, talking, networking, and X and Y and Z, but we have to give time for the speaker to deliver as well. But I didn't really think about that at that time. So when we arranged with the venue organizing the catering and the type of offering, literally there was like a coffee at morning, and then lunch, and then afternoon again coffee. But I didn't know the timing. So I figured that break coffee is 2 hours, lunch is 1 hour and a half, and then break coffee again is 2 hours. So literally, people are just networking and no session. So that was a lesson
Even
learned.
time box that.
That was like a lesson learned for me.
That I think highlights the fact that we're not professional event organizers.
Yeah.
We have a job.
Yeah.
Then we run a community,
Yeah.
and then on top of that we have our big Experts Live events.
Yeah.
But we do the best we can, and often it is really good. People already see like, okay, this is top notch, but for us the bar is high, and we want to improve and do better. I think I'll build on your example where we had through speaker training what we call the golden ticket. So somebody we had people joining up for speaker training. Anybody could sign up and join. And then the best, or the one that delivered the best out of training, actually got a golden ticket to speak at Experts Live Netherlands. Now the funny thing is that Niels, who won last year and did really, really well on his first try, is actually now in the first 10 selections from the first round for this year, because he has a good session and now he's becoming a proficient speaker. So giving somebody a chance is something I see as something we can do a lot.
The other thing is like selecting the sessions. Like we have in the Netherlands a big group of people who are selecting the sessions with each other, and that's as well a diverse kind of team who are doing that from different kind of areas as well, and that brings different kind of perspective than one or two persons who are checking all the sessions and saying this is what it's going to be, because then it's always going to be the same like as every year. But if you have like a really nice diverse group who are selecting the sessions with each other, that's also gives some new perspectives. And
that's a very valid point, because yesterday I met one of the team members in the summit itself, and he mentioned that I submitted few sessions for Experts Live Emirates, but I didn't make it. However, I told them, like, I copy one of your session because he's a great speaker. I copy one of his session and I delivered it in the United Arab Emirates. So I told him, man, I didn't know that you submitted. That's meaning that the people that were selecting the session itself, they didn't aware about his profile and his capability, but at the end they were looking into the session context itself. So the selection, he was not part of the selection because the actual session that he was delivering at that time, it was not fit for the profile. But but if it was just me, I would select it because it's personality more than quality.
So let's talk a bit about what's next. I know, Mahmoud, you're going into Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, that's a pretty interesting one, because back to the point of New York and remote management and this kind of thing, Saudi, again, it's a different area for me. However, I'm getting lots of great support locally, like one of the great members, he's not MVP, but he's totally in the community. He's been part of that for so long. And he's a key member, so he was able to get me to the right place to I would say a big agreement with one of the biggest universities in Saudi Arabia. So even they offered us a venue that we will not be able to satisfy the people in, because it's literally it's 2,700 seat. I hope.
Aim for the stars.
And that's
Target set.
and that's the first edition. So I told them that would be a big on such a community event at the end. But we are getting lots of support from them, and I hope we will be able to make it successful as well, with lots of insights and Experts Live community insights and tips and tricks as well. Let's see how it goes.
Wonderful. And then Femke, you're working on the keynotes of Experts Live Netherlands this year?
Together with you, yeah. So really excited to do that. And we are working on that to get everything done. And we have already a great speaker there. And the other thing that I really want to work on is getting like more women in the community as well. So new speakers from all over the world, like the rock stars that we call them. A lot of women want to speak and want to start, so try to help them to get them all in the community as Expert Live. Yeah.
Wonderful. And then Eric, you're going to do multiple days again, is what I'm hearing?
Yes, absolutely. So it was the first time this year that we did a 2-day event. So day number 1, normal breakout sessions. Day number 2, we did 2 3-hour workshops, one in the morning, one in the afternoon. And we got really good feedback because people want to dig deeper into topics, and they really liked it. So we also got some lessons learned from that. We will do some changes for next year. But yeah, we're already, dates are in the books, location is set, so we're right in planning for next year already.
Yeah, early stages, and then like months out we already start. And I think that's something you see as a pattern, that some of the Express Live editions that have been around for a couple of years, where you now see like multiple days, adding workshops, trying to figure out like what can we serve to our community. Of course, dependent on all the volunteers and all the work that we can handle, because this is not a given. This is something that needs a lot of hours in. And the other thing we're seeing is other regions coming up again. So like Sweden, of course, Saudi, many of the regions. You can find them on expresslive.org. But so many countries and so many communities stepping up for sure. Yeah. Mahmoud, what is to close off? What is the thing you like most about Express Live?
I'd say like. For sure, networking is a key behind it, but one of the a successful story that I was able to catch out of Express Life Emirates, let's say, that I was just inviting few of my friends, like they totally don't know anything about Express Life, they don't know anything about like what we do as a community and those kind of things. And for some reason, they were not interested. They were just that, like, we do have business. We don't have time for such activity. And likely they came, okay? And then, just 1 week after the event itself, I was invited to join this member in his kind of like gathering. And I got to know that he invited a couple of customers, and he was able to partner with a learning center, and he was able to get the Microsoft support for like he was establishing a new version and a new subcategory in his business. And literally that started on the session itself. Like he was listening to someone delivering a session. He got to know that this is a product that I can add to my business. And that's where the partnership comes in with the guy who was speaking, and then the business started.
Wonderful.
So that was for me like, yes, you will not, again, get the value until you are in and see the actual output, yeah.
Yeah, well, the call to action is everybody should join an Experts Live event in the region.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
For me, it's Expert Life is not marketing. It's real, like all kind of people building things, creating things, finding things out. So if you come, you will get the real story. I think I would say that way.
Good.
So for me, it's the life in Experts Live. We often get questions about recording, about attending remote, about whatever, but we always say no, it's live. Because if people meet, if people are together, that's where conversations are happening. And we had an evening event this year, which was an awesome location, by the way. And there were so many deep technical discussions over some food and some beers, but they really went down the, Azure networking route and discussed in a big group about what are the standards, the architectural standards, is the cloud adoption framework right or wrong? And to see that, how the community comes together and live discusses technical topics or business topics or whatever, that's what I love about it.
And for
Wonderful. Well, for me, it's like you said, where the community meets. I'm always very proud when I see not only yourselves stepping up and then all of these impacts around the world, but just the people that are enjoying themselves, being there. I know from decades ago, visiting events, you were excited to go somewhere and go for the sessions, but meet people, meet your role models, the rock stars, where you feel, oh, I want to see those sessions. And now we can do the same thing with a community touch and a personal touch. So I'm enjoying the fact there's personal connections that bring a smile to many people's faces. So.
And I need to say, Martin, I think you brought me to Expert Live like 4 years ago, and I started as a speaker, really nervous, and you helped me with that. And 1 year after, I was one of the organizers. So it's really good to have like people around you who you can support and let them grow. And I see that happening with more people now. I can do the same you did, you're still doing. And I think that's one of the things that it's really important, that we can support others and let them grow. And that's what you said when you stand here. You said as well, I let you grow, I let you all grow. And that's what you do. And I think that's the father of Expert Life is really doing
now
well.
I feel old. But thank you for that. And I want to close off with thanking everybody. You are here on the couch representing Experts Live together with me, but there's so many organizers, there's so many volunteers, there's so many speakers, there's so many partners, there's suppliers, there's everybody who's pulling together to get this done. So major thank you to everybody involved throughout the region. Come join us because it's really good fun, and we're excited to have you. On expertslife.org you'll find all of the editions for that year and what's coming. But excited to be here. Thank you for being on the couch, and I hope to be alongside you for a long time coming. So, Experts Live, this is where the community meets.